Hey everybody, and welcome to MackTen's Guide to Boots in Dota 2. Sorry I haven't made a video in a little while, but I've been busy playing Dota 2. And I'm also in the Final Fantasy XIV beta. I was thinking about making videos on that, but they're pretty firm on the non-disclosure agreement or the NDA, so... Excuse me, drinking some soda. I may not be able to post any videos about that, at least not in the immediate future. So anyway, on today's video, I'm obviously going to be talking about boots. When do you get boots? What boots do you get for what role you're playing? And when are certain boots more appropriate than others? So, first thing I want to say about boots is that unlike in League of Legends, boots are not something that you want to be getting first. In most circumstances, in probably 99% of circumstances, you're better off to go ahead and get Salve, Clarity Tango, Cell, or in some cases, Wand, Clarity Tango, or Quelling Blade, Clarity Tango, or Stout Shield, depending on what your role is, what you're going to be doing. I'm not going to get into that, but basically the boots are usually not the first item you get. This is a huge mistake that people that are coming from League of Legends will commonly make. Something that I want to point out here is, obviously, when do you get the boots? When is it appropriate for you to get boots? Why do you need boots? You need boots because movement speed allows you to get kills and allows you to avoid being killed. So they obviously need to be a pretty early game pickup for you, especially for carries. Supports, not so much. However, if a support, when I play a support, I usually sprint towards getting boots. Like, I'll get the wards, I'll get the courier, sometimes even upgrade it to a flying courier. But then, before I get a mech, before I get anything else, before I start building toward anything, even sometimes before I get the second set of wards, I'll just go ahead and get the basic boots, because whether my carry needs help getting a kill or I need a little bit of an extra boost getting away from a kill, then they're great item to have. They're great item to have. So if you're okay on regen, you have your, and if you're a carry, the questions you want to ask are you about to die? No. Okay, continue. Do you have regen in case you're going to die? Yes, continue. Then go ahead and get your boots. I usually recommend getting boots as one of the first items on a carry, not first as in you buy at the start of the game, but one of the first items you get from last hitting in the lane, unless you are building something toward a fast hand of Midas or something along those lines. As far as supports go, wards come first, courier comes first, then you get your basic boots. But what about upgrading boots? What about upgrading boots? Boots of travel. Boots of travel, I would say, a time that you always want to have them is in the extreme portion of the late game on your hard carries. If you're like, let's say, this Alchemist, or a Faceless Void, or a Phantom Lancer, one of the best examples ever. Boots of Travel is great because you can force the issue on a set of racks while your racks is getting pushed. So even if you won't win the team fight and you need an advantage, if you need to find an opening and you know you're not going to get it in a direct engagement, then you can use it to push. You can also use it to fall back to your base if you're on the other end of that trade. There are a few heroes that always should have Boots of Travel. Probably the best example of this is Tinker, because his ultimate allows him to refresh all his abilities and refresh all his cooldowns, including the cooldown of the Boots of Travel. So you use Boots of Travel to go back to the fountain, you heal up all your mana, you burn his ultimate, because his ultimate has no cooldown. It just has like a maybe, I think level 1 is a 3-second cast time or 3.5-second cast time. And once he does that, all of his cooldowns are reset, you can use the boots to teleport back to lane. As soon as you land in the lane, you have a little bit of extra regen granted to you by the fountain that you were just at. And you can burn the cooldown again, so you have almost full mana, and you have your boots off cooldown. So you can constantly be bouncing between the lanes. Coddle is another non-carry that could consider getting those boots, but that's extremely situational, and generally speaking, that's not a good idea. Phase boots are pretty solid boots. The thing I want to emphasize here is that they give you plus 24 damage, and they don't give you the attack speed that power treads do. Because basically, for phase Boots of Travel is its own class, and then basically I'm going to be comparing phase boots and power treads to each other, and these two boots to each other, because generally speaking, these are your support boots. except maybe Tiny uses arcane boots, and generally speaking, these are both boots for carries and gankers. But the phase boots thing, you get extra damage, so if your attack rate's really high, or you need to catch up with a hero to kill them, such as Medusa, Juggernaut, Nightstalker, these are all choices that really benefit from phase boots because they need to catch up with people. Juggernaut can use the phase boots while or before he does his spin move thing, and he can catch up with people and kill them very easily with that. Another thing is with Medusa, because Medusa is so dependent on attack damage, because especially when you're farming, because she only does 80% damage with her split shot, the plus 24 damage is pretty big on her. Trying to think of some other examples, but Pudge. Pudge is another hero that benefits from phase boots, I think, a lot more than power treads. Pudge can also be used with boots of travel, but generally speaking, phase boots are better because they're more cost effective and you get a little extra damage. You can also phase and get a 16% movement boost, or you get a 16% movement boost while you're pathing through units, so it's kind of a nice little buff. The power treads, I guess I'll look at next. Power treads, you get 30 attack speed plus 8 to the selected attribute plus 55 movement speed. It's usually open for debate which one of these 4 boots you get for any carry. However, for power treads, I will say that when you really want to get power treads on a hero is when they really benefit from having a small amount of extra intelligence, or a small amount of extra strength, or a small amount of extra agility. Agility, really not so much, but strength and intelligence because of hit points and mana points. A Drow Ranger can benefit pretty substantially from having a little bit of extra hit points because their base hit points are so low. A Lycan loves power treads because Lycan can toggle. If you toggle to your intelligence treads, use a spell, and toggle to the strength treads, you will proportionally, it's hard to explain, but basically you will always have more mana than if you had just burned the spell with the strength or the agility treads on. So it allows you to conserve mana, and it also allows you a slight bonus to mana regen if you're just walking around with them on intelligence. So the heroes that should get power treads are heroes that really enjoy the ability to toggle. Now there's some examples like Drow. Drow pretty much will always remain on strength, occasionally going over to agility if she needs a little bit extra kill and someone's just running, or if she needs a little bit extra intelligence to silence somebody or cast another slow arrow. But generally speaking, it's debatable on all heroes. Drow you could still say would be great for boots of travel or phase boots, but power treads is great. Specifically, it's awesome on heroes that can benefit from being able to toggle their skills around a little bit. The last, or second to last, is the arcane boots. Arcane boots were the standard boot on supports for a very long time, until their nerf a little while ago. Their nerf, I believe, increased the cooldown by 10 seconds, which doesn't sound like much, but it's obnoxious as shit. 60 movement speed, which is 10 more movement speed than the standard boots. It's 10 more movement speed than the standard boots, and it's 5 more movement speed than the phase boots or the power treads. So it's a load of movement speed. The mana is obviously AoE. If you don't already know, it heals 135 mana and a small AoE around you to your allies, and plus 250 base mana. The benefits are, if you're a support that's somewhat mana dependent, a Sand King and Earthshaker, 2 great examples of this. That 250 mana bonus mana to your pool is great. Nyx Assassin also loves these boots. Whether or not you get this first instead of a Dagon, that's sort of debatable depending on the situation. Usually no, but Nyx Assassin also loves the extra mana boost, plus the extra mana to an area around you. Like a team with a Nyx and a Sand King, or a Nyx and an Earthshaker can really benefit from that. I'm just using these as examples because they're both mana dependent and they can heal the mana to each other. So they both have 250 extra mana, and then they can heal 135 to each of each other. It stacks, so that's an additional 270 mana healed to you if you have 2 people with arcane boots next to each other. Plus the 60 movement speed is really nice. It allows you to catch up with heroes that you might not be able to catch up with otherwise if you're, let's say, a ganker like Nyx. Hate to keep using Nyx as an example, but he's so good. Tiny. Tiny also loves these boots because Tiny A really likes movement speed. B really needs mana. I think even if you're going to build Tiny as some sort of hard carry for the late game, Arcane boots are the go-to boots until you've got a full inventory. You can go ahead and get your boots at travel because they're really good on him. Some heroes that are supports that should not get Arcane boots. The biggest example that comes to mind is Keeper of the Light because he can just chakra magic himself. And any support that is not so mana dependent, or even more importantly, cannot get money. If a support is just broke, he's barely able to get out the wards and the courier and buy his basic support items. If you really want to get a heavier item, if you want to start saving for a big item like a mech or a pipe to help out your team, they don't want you to get Arcane boots, so they don't need the mana from the Arcane boots, then you can go ahead and build the Tranquil boots. So the biggest benefit to the Arcane boots is actually personal. It's that 250 bonus mana to yourself, but being able to heal mana in an AoE is very nice for a support, like I said, especially for those really mana dependent supports. And something that I really want to emphasize here is that the biggest con of getting Arcane boots is that they cost 1,450 gold, whereas Tranquil boots cost 975. That's 400. Is that? Am I doing my math right? That's 475 cheaper. 400. No, that's 375. That's 375 cheaper. Whoops. That's 375 gold cheaper for the Tranquils. And the Tranquils are arguably just as good at boots. Like they're different, but they're unique, and they give you benefits that the Arcane boots don't, and they're much cheaper. With 375 gold, you just got a set of Observer wards and a set of Sentry wards to counter ward, or you got yourself a set of Observer wards and a TP. I mean, you understand. 375 gold is a boatload of gold, especially to a support. So phase boots usually, or Tranquil boots can usually, or can sometimes be a better choice. Lastly, I'm going to move into Tranquil boots, talk about what they do and why they're good and who they're really good on. If you really think you're getting Tranquil boots and you're a hero like a PL is going to be the example I use here, but if you're a hero like Phantom Lancer and you know you're going to be getting them, then go ahead and open up with your Ring of Protection. And what else would you get? You get your Ring of Protection along with your basic regen, and you're basically substituting the Ring of Regen for a Stout Shield in lane. You can still get a Stout Shield if you're really having trouble from the side shop, or use the Courier, which you should have if your supports aren't total assholes, which is never something you should assume. But either way, as long as you have the Ring of Protection, you can build the entire Tranquil boots from the side shop, over here or up here. And something I want to emphasize here is that, first and foremost, the biggest benefit is that they're cheap as hell. They're so cheap, they're just giving them away. Another thing is, the heal restores 170 hit points over 10 seconds. That's 17 hit points per second regen. And it has a cooldown of 40 seconds, and it only has a mana cost of 25. 25 mana. It's basically a free heal for 170 hit points toward whoever. Not to mention, it gives you 3 armor and 3 hit point regen. So, really, over 10 seconds, you're going to be getting 200 hit points, at least. If you use that in a Tango, you're looking at a grand total of almost probably around 300 in 10 seconds if you have a Tango on, which is a load of regen. It's hard as hell to kill you at that point if you get these before the 10-minute mark. Heroes that really benefit from these, PL, like I said, is the biggest carry example I can think of, because it allows him to keep working on his farm. It allows him extra movement speed to escape, because as you'll notice, it has 75 movement speed, which Arcane has 60. Tread's 55. Phase Boots 55. Like, 75 movement speed is huge. The downside is that if you take 4 instances of damage within 10 seconds, Tranquil Boots will become Boots of Speed until the last 10 seconds don't have 3 instances of damage. To simplify this, it will be they will become boots of speed for an obnoxiously long time. It will feel like an eternity. However, if you get these tranquil boots, as I will demonstrate, you can actually just drop them, and they will become the normal boots again. I don't know if this is player instances. It must be player instances of damage. Yeah, it must be player instances of damage. That's obnoxious. But anyway, if these boots become boots of speed again, and the icon will change, they won't look quite like boots of speed, but they'll basically become brown. You can actually drop them and then pick them up, and they'll be fixed. They'll be back to, yeah, like this. Tranquil boots. They'll look like that. If I put them down and pick them up, okay, well maybe it doesn't work when they're on cooldown, but if they're not on cooldown and they become like this, they become the boots of speed, tranquil boots, you can drop them and pick them up and they'll be restored. Starting to ramble a little bit here, so let's get this finished up. The biggest thing about tranquil boots, the biggest people that want to be thinking about them, or the largest group of people, are supports that don't have money and carries that can benefit from getting back in the lane and healing up after taking some damage after farming. Because it gives you a little bit of armor, it gives you 3 hit points per second regen, and it gives you that wonderful active heal, and it also gives you a load of movement speed. As I demonstrated a second ago, you will not keep that movement speed if you're taking lots of damage, so it makes it so you can get ganked more easily, so that you're not just moving all over the place. So they're the best boots for people that need to save money, like supports that don't have money, or carries that are doing stuff like they just rushed to Hand of Midas and they're trying to get us some damage-dealing items. They don't really need treads. They don't really need phase boots. They can benefit more from an active heal, and they also love saving money. So these are the Geico boots. They're really, really good. But anyway, that is my guide to boots in Dota 2. If you have any questions about what boots you have, or what boots you should get, when you should get boots on what hero, or just general questions about heroes and roles related to boots, or any question about Dota 2 in general, you can leave it in the comments for this YouTube video, or you can tweet at MackTen's. Thank you for watching ever so much, and I'll see you next time, and bye-bye.